In this super review, let's take a look at this MP3 player by Minigo. Now, there are some people out there that don't understand why you would buy an MP3 player in the year, it's 2018. But I'm not one of them. I use an MP3 player. I use my Sony Walkman all the time, pretty much every day. So an MP3 player in 2018 makes sense to me. The interesting thing about this Minigo MP3 player is that it is much cheaper than the Sony Walkman, right? The Walkman, it's about 200 bucks. You can get it now on Amazon a little bit cheaper, but about 200 bucks when it came out. This thing is under 60 bucks. And in some ways, this reminds me, at least on paper, of the Sansa Clip that I used to have. The Sansa Clip was a great little MP3 player that was cheap, but at some point it became hard to find and now it's not cheap anymore. Well, thankfully the Minigo is not hard to find, at least right now, and so it's still cheap. That said, I don't know yet if it's a good MP3 player, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna unbox it, and then I'm gonna load it up with some music, get some MP3s on it, but also get some FLAC files and see how it does with lossless audio. All right, so here we got the box for the Minigo MP3 player, and this is, yeah, I'll be frank, this is pretty Apple-ish, which is not a bad thing, I guess. It's a nice, attractive box. But there's not much in terms of features listed here on the box. What I can tell you about this thing, based on their Amazon listing, is one, it comes with 16 gigabytes of built-in space, which is decent. You know, if you get into lossless music, that's gonna get filled up pretty quickly. But the good thing is that this is expandable with a micro SD card. They describe it as a TF card, but that's the same thing as micro SD here in the States. It also claims to support a bunch of different audio formats, including MP3, AAC, and FLAC. The Amazon listing doesn't specify whether or not this device supports ALAC, which is Apple's version of lossless format, but I do have some ALAC files. I'm gonna try loading on it just to see if it does support it. I'm not gonna hold it against it if it doesn't, but that'd be pretty nice if it does. It does also support Bluetooth 4.1 if you wanna listen to music wirelessly. You know, if you're getting into lossless music, if you're loading this thing up with lossless music, I would suggest sticking to a wired headset, but if you're really just looking for an MP3 player, that's not a bad choice. And one of the reasons you might want an MP3 player, a standalone MP3 player versus using your phone, is battery life. And this thing claims to have 60 hours of battery life, that's pretty good. If it actually does 60 hours of battery life, I'll be impressed. Without further ado, let's go ahead and crack it open and see what we get inside the box. All right, so what do you get in the box of the Minigo MP3 player? You get a decent spread here, right? So you get some instructions which look nice, but I hope I don't have to read those. You get, of course, a micro USB charging cable. Of course, it's micro USB. You get a pair of headphones, which frankly I didn't expect, and these look exactly like Apple AirPods. Okay, the cable looks a little bit different, but this right here looks exactly like Apple's EarPods. If you like EarPods, well, there you go. I don't have high expectations for these things as headphones. And you do also get a short little aux cable, which is nice. That's a nice little touch. You know, if you've got a car with an aux input, you could use this supplied cable to connect the MP3 player to your car. I think that's pretty cool that they included that. So now the device itself in hand, this feels pretty nice. It is pretty small, it's lightweight. It feels kind of like an old school iPod. Let's see, going around it, on the side here, we've got two buttons, which I assume are volume up and down. I think the placement's a little wrong. I would probably put those up here. That'd be better. I'm not gonna quibble too much about that. There's a USB charging cable or port over there. You've got an on-off power button down here at the bottom. You've got your micro SD card slot right there at the bottom, as well as the headphone jack. And I do think that is the right place to put the headphone jack, is on the bottom and not on the top. Around here in the back, the back feels like a aluminum surface, which is nice. It gives it a nice quality premium feel. It's got a little speaker grill in it too, which suggests that maybe this thing makes sound without a pair of headphones. if you're into your music, if you're into your audio quality, I don't think you're gonna like that, but this thing does also support like a FM radio, and so I could imagine using this thing as a portable FM radio, just using that speaker, but we'll see if that's what it does. And then around here in the front, you've got buttons which don't click at all. This all must be touch sensitive buttons, which, because I've got the device turned off right now, I don't get anything. And also worth noting is that the front of this thing is very, very glossy. I do have a feeling it will be a fingerprint magnet, but that's really nothing new for anyone that's been using modern electronics. They all appear to be glossy. It is what it is. And then just for a quick size comparison, here is my Sony A45 Walkman, and here is a Google Pixel 2, just the regular non-XL version, so you can kind of get a sense for how small this thing is. It's a little bit taller than my Walkman, but it is quite a bit thinner. That's pretty nice. Let's go ahead and power it up. Please don't make sound, please don't make sound. Okay, that interface. Is this a touch-sensitive display? This is not, which I'm okay with. Let's see what options we have here on the front. We've got music, video. I didn't know it did video. Recordings. So yeah, it does have a microphone somewhere on here that lets you record audio into the device. Bluetooth settings, folder view, now playing, settings, a calendar. Ebooks. This thing does ebooks? FM radio, alarm, and pictures. I'm really only interested in this thing as far as it being an MP3 player. I'm not going to review it from the perspective of it being a video player or a alarm clock or a calendar. If those are things you're interested in, feel free to ask me some questions down below. Maybe I'll check it out. But you know, this to me is an MP3 player. That's what I'm going to check out, its functions. Oh, that's interesting. It comes with one pre-built song, which lets me see how this back speaker works. So it does play audio out of this speaker here. It's not a great speaker as you would expect, but I'm not going to hold that against it. I think that's an interesting feature at least. The controls immediately, worth noting is that the screen up here is not a touch screen. This is just well, it's a pretty low quality LCD display. You know, the viewing angles are pretty bad, but as long as you're looking at it head on, it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, you know, I think I'm just gonna have to load it up with my music, and that'll be how I figure out if this thing is worth the 60-ish bucks that it costs on Amazon. All right, so I spent some time listening to the Minigo MP3 player, and I've got some thoughts. First, I'll start with the good things, okay? I like this form factor quite a bit. The way that this thing feels in the hand is really nice. The rounded corners means that it goes and slides in and out of a pocket really easy. That's pretty good. The claimed battery life of 60 hours is exceptional. I don't know that it's actually gonna get that because I haven't tested it for 60 hours. That's a long time to test an MP3 player. But if this thing lasts for 60 hours, that's pretty awesome. And then one other really nice thing about the Minigo is that to sync up music with it, you just connect the USB cable to your computer and then it automatically shows up as an external drive. You can just drag and drop music. It didn't seem to be very picky about the folder structure, so however you like to organize your music, I think the Minigo will be cool with it. There's a lot of features baked into this thing that I didn't expect, and if you're the kind of person that's really into having a device with a lot of features, you might be pretty satisfied or at least very surprised by that. I think a lot of those features are just not things I'm interested in, right? I don't need this thing to be a photo viewer because the screen is not very good quality. I don't need to watch video on it. I just want to listen to music. And then that's where the Minigo kind of falls apart. The audio quality out of this is not terrible, but it's not very clean. You know, comparing this to my Walkman, which is maybe not a fair comparison, but just comparing it to my Walkman because I had it here, the sound out of the Walkman sounds just so much better. And frankly, I didn't expect to see that much of a difference. The sound out of here, it feels a little strained, almost like you took an EQ and you boosted all the levels. And I kind of think that's what they actually did, because this does have an EQ setting where you can choose from different EQs. And when you have it set to off, the volume is actually much louder than when you have it set to any EQ. You can even do like a custom EQ where I set everything to flat. And at that setting, I thought it actually sounded a little bit better, but the volume was considerably lower. I couldn't get this to be as loud as I really wanted it to unless I disabled the EQ. I set it to the off setting, which is the point where it sounded like everything had been boosted, and it just it doesn't sound great. You know, it doesn't sound terrible, but it doesn't sound great. In terms of file support, I had no problems playing FLAC files. ALAC files, however, it was not able to play. It did recognize the files, it showed me the music, but when I tried to play them, it just skipped each song until it just kept skipping each song and it kept looping through the album. So not good for ALAC files, but I think that's okay. I didn't expect that, and I'm not gonna hold that against it. Like I said, the screen quality on this is not great. The interface it's a little ugly looking. It's kind of got like this faux brushed aluminum look to it, which doesn't look anywhere near as good as the back of the device. There's no touch screen on this thing, so it feels like a device that you want to touch the interface, but you actually have to use these buttons down here, which are touch sensitive buttons rather than clicking buttons. So it's not terrible. I think, you know, I'm not actually a big fan of touch screens, so that's not a big problem for me, although what I prefer to touch screens is clicking buttons, so this doesn't give me clicking buttons, so it's kind of the worst of both worlds, frankly, but it's not a terrible interface. It's just a little slow, a little unresponsive. It gets the job done, and again, like I said, there's a lot of options in here, a lot of different things that this can do, but it's just not great at doing the one thing that I want it to do, which is play music. So overall, I'm kind of disappointed with this device, which is especially disappointing because I think the build quality of this is really surprisingly nice. Like, I want this to be a really good MP3 player. The only thing on the build quality that lets it down is this headphone jack, which is way too tight. I had to really shove my headphones into them to the point that, like, I'm kind of worried I might have ruined them, but I got it to connect and I got the sound to come out of it. But yeah, this headphone jack is super tight. Getting your headphones in and out of it's gonna be a pain in the butt. So yeah, if I were to rate the Minigo MP3 player out of 5 stars, I'd have to give it 2 stars out of 5. You know, if you're just looking for something to drop into your car and kind of forget about, you can get by with this. You know, it's not the worst thing in the world. It comes with an aux cable, which is nice. You don't have to risk your own headphone jack on this thing. And you could just plug this into your car and have 60 hours of music. You don't have to worry about it draining your phone battery, so that's pretty cool, I guess. But yeah, in just terms of UI, sound quality, the Sansa Clip from way back in the day, Sansa Clip was way better than this thing. Sansa Clip, please come back to me. Please come back to us. We need you. So yeah, the Minigo MP3 player, I'd give it 2 stars out of 5. If you're interested in checking it out, I do have a link to Amazon down below. It's a little bit under 60 bucks, which is, it's not bad. While you're down there looking for that link, you can hit the like button for this video. If you like the video, you can then subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next super review.